Ben did it this morning, so if you got to see him, then that is awesome. And if you've been recommended to jump on tonight, then I welcome you along. So first off, we will just do an acknowledgement of country. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their beliefs and cultures, to the elders both past and present. 30-foot drop funding. 30-foot drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities, Disability Services for funding this event and many other initiatives. Without their help, so many projects such as the Two Wise Monkeys project wouldn't see the light of day, and we'd be much more poorer for it as a community, so we thank them very much. This workshop is part of a Realities and Advantages of an Access and Inclusion grant awarded to 30-foot drop as part of a Information, Linkages and Capacity Building grant for 2018 and 19. I'll just now go over some housekeeping on how we run the workshops. Unfortunately, if you're watching from any of the other platforms such as Facebook or YouTube, you won't be able to send me a direct message. If you do want to send a direct message, follow the link below this video, which is www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Hit the live button and you will be able to send me a direct message. So if you have anything along the way, you want to discuss anything, please feel free to send them through to me along the way, or we do a survey at the end. We'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time, so we ask attendees to try and minimise any distractions that could be around you. And at the moment, yes, that could be hard with kids around and stuff like that, but we just try our best. And also, if you talk about 30-foot drop, please make sure you tag us in anything that you share, because the more people that know about what we're doing, the more people are going to learn how to make these changes and make the community a better place for everyone. We'll also be recording the session. Every session is recorded, so if you want to go back on anything, you can replay it once we have finished. And all the information that we speak about on all the webinars, there is loads more information available to do with what we speak about on our website. So that's just that link below, the 30-foot drop link. You can find the stats, the resources, the readings, the links to everything we speak about. So yeah, that is what we have for you tonight. If you did want to follow those links, then you can do that. There's so much reading on there and there's so much good information on there. And if you know anyone that would be interested in doing these, please let them know about these webinars. They are all very educational and different in their own ways. Tonight we're going to be going over the untapped market and looking at the stats and populations and percentages of people with disability and impairment in Australia. We're going to look at some questionnaires that have been done from around Australia and how people are feeling towards the community. Okay, at the end of the webinar we do have a short survey that we would be really grateful to you guys if you could fill that out. Once again, when you're finished, just follow the link below the video and go to Tapping In Survey Part 3. There's only a few questions on there. The more feedback we can get, the better. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm one of the Two Wise Monkeys. I am Hear No Evil. And the other monkey is Ben. He is the brains behind these projects. He is See No Evil, and you will see more of him again soon. But first off, we'll speak about why I'm here and what my impairment is. My impairment is more of a hidden impairment. At the age of 8, I was diagnosed with mild dyslexia. I was born 30 weeks premature, and they do say that sometimes with premature births there can be complications such as dyslexia or learning disabilities or having trouble reaching milestones. I was okay with everything else, but dyslexia sort of came out as I started school, and I was just not really getting it, I guess you could say, compared to my classmates. So I was tested and they said, yes, she has mild dyslexia. And, you know, teachers used to hit me on the head, yell at me, read out my low marks in front of my classmates, making me feel completely dumb and unworthy. But despite those challenges growing up, I was determined to prove them wrong. And luckily for me, I had a great group of friends around me that would sort of, if I got stuck, they would help me. I luckily wasn't bullied or anything like that from any other classmates, because they just understood. And I guess being a girl, girls are a bit more helpful in that way. But, you know, for the boys around me, it was awful. They would get teased and all of that sort of thing. So it's not nice to tease people with learning disabilities. It's not their fault. Just like any other impairment or disability, it's no one's fault that these things have happened. And just put yourself in their situation. How would you feel if you didn't quite understand it? You didn't quite understand what was going on, or, you know, things were a bit complicated for that person. So it's about empathy and sympathy for people with learning disabilities, and impairments. But despite my impairment, I found out that at age 13 I was good at art and photography and anything creative. So I followed that road, and I started to shine, I guess, knowing that I was good at something. So my self-confidence went up and all of that sort of thing. I've travelled around the world with an arts diploma, a diploma in fine art framing and picture framing, where I've done lots of work on really, really old pieces of art, and we learned how to preserve them and look after them and stuff like that. So I've worked all around the world in art galleries, organised exhibitions, marketing, catering for exhibitions, and I really, really love it. And I also have a counselling degree, which is what brings me to where I am with the Two Wise Monkeys, is that I really love helping people, and if people are down, I want to get them out of that hole, help them move forward, be positive, have empathy for them and sympathy, and that's how I'm with the Wise Monkeys today. So if you know anyone with a learning disability or any other kind of disability, just have sympathy and know that you'll find your passion, you'll have something that you're good at. It's just a matter of finding it, and I didn't find mine till I was 13, so it's just a matter of finding it and holding on to that and going with that path. Okay, so that is me. Let's now head into the third wise monkey. We've got the third wise monkey behind me, speak no evil. Now, who is the third monkey? You guys. You guessed it. The aim of today's workshop is to turn you into that wise monkey. You will begin on a journey of realising that, impairment or not, we're all human and deserve to be treated fairly and equally, just the same as anyone else. So, such an important message. And if you do want to become that third monkey, speak no evil, those t-shirts are available to buy off our website in black and white, and we have them in child sizes all the way up to 5XL. So get yourself one of those if you are interested. Now let's go over the outline and method of today's workshop. So how are we going to get you started on the path of a wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and their potential impacts they can have on your business. We're going to examine the size of the market segment, what people with impairment represent, explaining who they are and their potential customer base. And then we will examine the potential impacts they can have on your business, both positive and negative. After covering all this good stuff, we will finish off with an open forum before wrapping up for the night. So, how are we going to cover this? What is our teaching method? The answer is fun, open and honest discussion. If we can't be open and honest about how we feel, then changes aren't going to happen. So please be open and honest. If you see a business really doing the wrong thing by you or by anyone else, let them know, because they're not going to know if you haven't told them. Let's be open and honest and make changes. Okay, you'll notice as well so far that there's very little written content on the slides, and that is so it's easy for us all to interact easily. So it's easy for you to interact with the screen and in our personal workshops. It's easy for people that we're doing the workshops for. It's easy for them to understand and follow. There's not too much information on the screen where you're trying to keep up with all the writing, and we don't believe in death by PowerPoint. So that is the reason for that. Let's go over some words that quite often people get mixed up thinking that they mean the same thing, whereas they're quite different. So first up, I'm going to talk about impairment. An impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of physiological and psychological function. In short, an impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my medical diagnosis is mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitations of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access something or participate in something. Disability. Okay, so someone like me with a learning disability, too much wording, complex information, stylized script can sometimes make it hard for people with dyslexia to understand, meaning that they are not getting the right information that they need to use your business or service. This is especially important to know because some people's impairments, like mine, are hidden. And if they're hidden, you don't know about it, you're potentially losing their business. So look at your websites, look at your marketing, make sure it's simple and clear, just like the website that we have here. Simple, clear directions, simple, clear instructions and information so that everyone is getting what they need to do. Otherwise, they might be getting to a certain point on your website and going, oh, this is just too hard basket, and they click out onto another website, and that's not what you want as a business owner. So those are the difference between those two. Let's go over now access and inclusion. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, physical and attitudinal, to participate in the activities and functions of a community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and is easily assessed with a checklist. Inclusion is more of a psychological state of being and is a process whereby every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, sexual preference or nationality, who wishes to, can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way as every other member in the community. Inclusion is making sure that everyone is included, no matter their age, no matter their religion, no matter their sexual preference. Everyone is included in your business or service. If someone's come to your restaurant in a wheelchair and you've got no access, or you haven't made it inclusive and they have to go through the kitchen to get to where they want to sit in the restaurant, then that's not being inclusive. That wouldn't feel very nice for that person to have to go to this amazing, lovely restaurant, but they have to go through the kitchen. And I'm sure the people in the kitchen don't really find it very nice either. So please make sure your business is inclusive and for people to be able to get in the door like everyone else. Hopefully that all makes sense to everyone. If there's any questions, please just send them over to me now or wait till the end. Okay. People with impairment, the untapped market share. Now, recognizing your market. Here's a business idea. Ignore the potential market. That's what many sports and athletic-related businesses did until they realized in the mid-1990s that they had been passing on a goldmine. Women. Yes, you know, half the population that some thought should just be playing with Barbie dolls and prams. Well, in the 1990s, there was a turning point. The NBC's 1996 Summer Olympic Games coverage targeted women and sports much more than they had previously and created more female-orientated sports advertisements, apparel and equipment lines. So imagine that. Women are actually interested in the same thing as the other half of their population, such as sports. Well, could many other businesses be also missing out on these potential markets? Consider, for example, a population that has clear persistent needs that are not being adequately fulfilled. This population spans the world, is growing and includes very motivated customers. Since this population is currently being underserved and misunderstood by many businesses, many of these lost customers would be grateful and loyal to your business if you met their needs. This population has an estimated disposable income Australia-wide of 54 million and growing. Crazy. Also consider how margins are always tight and that finding a new and neglected population can help boost your business. So, what is this population? Let's have a look. People with impairments. How big a market share do you think people with impairment represent? Let's have a look at these numbers. Here is the Australian population, all 100%, and Ben assures me he has counted 100 people there. Okay, so there are approximately 5% of the Australian population living with a severe or profound or who require assistance or have a difficulty with mobility, communication or self-care. Add to this 5% another 4% of the population who are unpaid primary caregivers of someone with an impairment. You now have a total of 9% missing out on your products and services. Now that's a fair share, and that doesn't even include the families and friends who are accompanying these other families that may have someone in their family with a disability or impairment. So, you may ask, if it is such a big market, then surely aren't their needs already being met? Aren't there items such as services and events such as Paralympic Games every 4 years for those that have disabilities? Yes, we do have a few things. But that's a bit like saying to women who wanted to play sports in the 1970s, yeah, but don't you have hopscotch? While some businesses do seem to understand the market of people with disability, many do not, and that is why we're here tonight. Okay, research. Deloitte and the Australian Human Rights Commission released a report in February 2017 called the Missing Out Report. And I ask you guys, if you have time, to please jump on our website and read that report, because it is shocking. I'll just leave it at that. That might make you read it a bit more. It's shocking. The business case for customer diversity. And in it, they present their research findings about the missed opportunities that occur when businesses do not extend their values of fairness, equality, and respect to other diverse customer bases. This research covered the diversity areas of gender equality, marriage equality, people with impairments, age, cultural diversity, and practicing of a noticeable faith. It is well worth reading and can be found in a digital library. Okay, so now we're going to go over some graphs which are from studies all over, is it all over the world or all over Australia? So here are the findings. As a customer, all over Australia. Okay, graph 1. As a customer, more people with impairment are finding that places often do not provide the products and services that they need. So that's 35% of people with an impairment or disability that are not getting the products and services that they need. And 27% don't have a disability or impairment but also find this. So it's getting up there, 35%. It's not really what you want. Graph 2. As a customer, over a quarter of people with an impairment usually have a fear of rejection or embarrassment when it comes to interacting with businesses. So that is a lot of scared customers. And ask yourself, do scared customers spend money? No. Graph 3. As a customer over the last 12 months, I was often treated less favourably than other customers based on certain characteristics that I have. That's 1 in 3 people with an impairment treated this way because by a company because of their disability or impairment. 38% are treated unfavourably because of their disability or impairment. Why? Crazy. Why? How would that person feel? If you were treating someone like that, and then if you put yourself in their shoes, how would you feel? It'd be awful. A lot of people just don't have enough empathy and sympathy. Okay, graph 4. This one's shocked us the most. Getting discriminated against by one or more organisation, which is crazy. This is almost 30% of people feel they were being discriminated against by a company or business. Crazy, crazy figures. Once again, you are not going to spend money in these types of businesses. So these stats to show that there is definitely a market that is not having their needs met. Next, let's have a look at who this market is and who are the people behind the stats. Hey. Okay, people with impairment and disability are just like all of us. We have passions, loves, and families. We purchase consumer goods like food, clothing, cars. We go to the movies. We go out for dinner. We have hobbies. We go on holidays. But for some sad reason, people with disability and impairment are treated differently. In short, people with impairment are active contributors to the community and the economy. As a result, we represent a market share to businesses and organisations. Because we are a market share, we are also able to impact your organisation, and how we can do that is up to you. So, let's get the ball rolling. Let's make some changes. Potential impacts. Let's have a look at some of the impacts people with impairment can have on your business. These are only minority and ethical consumerism. Only minority. When it comes to minorities, people can often say it's only minority. There isn't enough of them to make a difference. As discussed earlier, we can safely say it's about 9% of the population. What research has found is that people with an impairment are a decisive and influential minority. Let's have a closer look at some more graphs. Ceasing transactions. Over the past 12 months, I have ceased a transaction because I felt I was treated unfairly. As we all know, purchasing power is in the hands of the customers, and when people do not get what they want or need in terms of product or service, they're going to cease a transaction. So that is 29% of people that are going to cease a transaction because of the way they are being treated. And the other 18% is someone without an impairment or disability also feeling that way. And in the missing out report, they examine this more closely. Okay, graph 2. The results in this report show that 1 in 5 customers without an impairment will cease a transaction. This jumps to almost 1 in 3 for people with an impairment or disability when they are not treated with fairness and respect, showing that a negative experience is more likely to drive a customer away. Not good for business, that's for sure. Dissuading others. More than just walking away from a sale, people with impairment are twice as likely than the rest of the population to dissuade other people from using your product or service. Twice as likely. So basically, if your company is not treating people with an impairment with respect or fairness, your business is already being affected. Is that you guys watching tonight? Negative effects. We've been asked in the past if supporting diversity in businesses can have the adverse effects. Can it drive the current customers away? The missing out report found that 12% of people are negatively affected. 58% were positively affected, and the other 30% weren't worried either way. So yes, you may have lost that 12%, but you are gaining so much more. 58% is an awesome increase. So it's not just about that, it's also about your reputation. Your reputation is going to build on your fairness and equality, and you as a business are doing the right thing, and the more people that see that hopefully will jump on board. This result isn't impairment specific though, and includes other minorities that can be quite decisive. Marriage equality, people with impairment, and older people, for example. Let's have a look. Let's go over the key findings of these graphs. To finish this section off, I want to read to you a really relevant finding. Customers with an impairment are 3 times more likely to avoid an organisation and twice as likely to dissuade others because of an organisation's negative diversity reputation. There's a good chance that if your business isn't accessible or inclusive, you're already being impacted. We have covered the possible negative effects, but let's now have a look at the positive effects. Okay, that is ethical consumerism. So what is ethical consumerism? Ethical consumerism is a form of political activism based on ideas that purchasers and markets consume not only goods but also implicitly embrace the process used to produce them, by choosing certain products over others or whether to choose them at all. Consumers can embrace or reject particular environmental labour practices and make other valuable claims based on the ethical values that they hold. Exercising choice in this way creates incentives for producers to make production practices which conform with customer values. Successful campaigns waged by ethical consumer movements have popularised dolphin-free tuna, foods that are free from GMOs, sweatshop-free clothing, fair trade coffee, cosmetic products free from animal testing, and conflict-free diamonds. So there's more and more things like this changing, and we're all choosing things that are better for the environment over things that aren't. And you know, it all just changes. That more and more people, because they're not agreeing with things that are bad for the environment, are all sort of following the good for the environment stuff. So other companies are having to follow to keep up. So we've got to keep that going with the untapped market and with people with impairment and disability as well. So let's have another look at another positive, and that is applying to impairment. Who here has heard of the quiet hour at Coles? Now, is it? Okay, that's all there is. So how can ethical consumerism be connected to people with impairment? Who here has heard of the quiet hour at Coles or Woolworths? For those that haven't, let me explain. Some impairments make people hyper-aware of their surroundings, making activities such as going to the supermarket very overwhelming and challenging. At Coles and Woolworths, every Tuesday between 10:30 and 11:30, store lighting is dimmed by 50%, radios are switched off, registers and scanner volumes are turned down, trolley collection has stopped, roll cages are removed from the shop floor, PA announcements are stopped except in case of an emergency, free fruit is offered, and extra team members are on the shop floor to help customers. This is an amazing initiative by Coles and Woolworths and makes a great difference to so many people. It has increased the ethical reputation of both these businesses, and if you search the internet, there's a lot of rave going on about that. Now, as far as I know, it's just Tuesdays at the moment, but the more we can let them know that it's working and it's really good, and the more people that go and use it, then you never know. We might get 2 or 3 days, or we might get every day. I know that people with disability and impairment would absolutely love this idea, and through the COVID, I know they did it for the older people and people with disability for the supermarkets, and I think it's just a lovely idea, because not everyone, especially people with an impairment or a disability, want to be in an overwhelming situation where, you know, there's just so many people, or you find it hard to get through because you're in a wheelchair. I don't know why we weren't doing this ages ago, and there should be a longer and many more time slots for older people and people with impairment and disability to enjoy going shopping, because the rest of us don't need to go at that exact time. We can wait an hour or two. And there's also online, so that is another good thing for people with impairment and disability, the fact that they can order online. So that is it for tonight on the Untapped market. I hope it all made sense to you guys, and it's got you thinking about business ideas and are you inclusive, accessible, such things like that. You know, what needs to change within your business, and so that you're bringing these customers in, not pushing them away. So if you have any questions for me right now, I am going to hit the open forum button, and for those of you that have to go, please fill out the survey. So jump onto the link below this video, fill out the Tapping In Part 3 survey before you go. But whoever is staying, please send me any questions or messages, and I'll be here waiting. And for everyone else that has to leave, I will see you tomorrow morning at 11 for Tapping In Part 4. I will be back soon with any questions that are needing to be answered. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any questions tonight, which is totally fine. I hope you all enjoyed tonight with me. I will be back tomorrow to do tapping in part 4. I will see you all then and have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thanks for joining me. Bye.